life outside the federal witness protection program. The US Marshal Service told me that the FBI can arrest their own agents. Hey, it's Suze, and welcome to tonight's episode of Life Outside the Federal Witness Protection Program / Keep the Bad Guys Away. Nice to see ya. Hope you guys had a great Saturday. Oh boy, they're at it again. I mean, I'm telling you, the organized crime piece is like unreal on the garbage here. See, that's why I said I discovered yesterday that my local sheriff's offices, their task force here in Riverside works with the FBI. Oh God, you know what that means? Anybody that works closely with the FBI, that means I'm being used as bait. Okay, so here's some weird things that happened at the hospital today. Okay, well, you know what? I found it very strange. Okay, so there's this new chief nursing officer at the hospital. He's been here for probably, I guess, since last year. But, you know, and apparently he's very committed and is at the hospital a lot. So that is not unusual. But what I thought was sort of unusual is that when I left to go to lunch today, and I went out and he was just like on the phone or whatever. And I don't know, I just like at the same time, like, you know, in a position to cross my path. He didn't say anything to me at the time because he was on the phone. I thought that was weird. But see, and I get this, I got off late tonight and I go outside, I go out the same route that I had went on my break, and there he is again at, you know, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing in the same damn spot at 8 o'clock at night? I don't know. I thought that was hella weird. You know, that's why I said, you know, he's a military guy too. You know, he's probably buddying up with this damn Mark Moore or some kind of shit like that. But then anyway, so back to this Mark Moore. Let me give you a little history on this. You know, Attorney Randy Roski had given me 4 choices on what to do as far as recouping my money from this human trafficking situation. At the time, I didn't even know what the heck to call it. But technically, it follows a pattern of human trafficking. But he said to go to the FBI. See, and this is before ICE had written that letter or whatever. So I went to Las Vegas FBI. I actually went into the lobby of the FBI in Las Vegas. So yes, I passed through FBI security, despite the fact that I'm apparently listed as Al-Qaeda. And I went and sat in the office, and this damn little agent who's about like this big, you know, short, stocky, blonde hair. Apparently he's aging Chris Byers. It's my understanding he might be aging Chris Byers. Well, you know, he was like saying, oh no, you'll have to file a civil case. I'm like, a civil case against a government employee, a CIA government employee? I gotta file a civil case. I'm like, dude, you know, the guy could probably have like many different identities given to him by the CIA. He could be anywhere in the world, and you want me to file a civil case? Okay, so then now, anyway, fast forwarding months later, you know, he called me in Las Vegas. Now, this is after Elliot Williams and ICE had already written this letter. He calls me and says, oh, I'm just following up on that report you made, And I'm like, whatever, dude, you know, whatever. And then, you know, I went to the Marshals and stuff like that. And then, you know, I got railroaded and then wound up in Phoenix, Arizona. That, you know, what I kept talking about. Do you know Agent Steve, who was apparently running the show? I think it's that Agent Steve. Had the nerve to call me in Phoenix, Arizona, telling me that they were going to, like, prosecute this Mark Moore. He had the nerve to call and tell me that in Phoenix, Arizona, after everybody in the world told me to get the hell out of town. And after I had barely survived a few pattern near-death kidnappings in Las Vegas. And like, so all Agent Steve was trying to do was lure me back to Las Vegas. He didn't have any intention of prosecuting this damn Mark Moore. He could prosecute him without me being there. All he's got to do is get a damn warrant out for the asshole. He doesn't need me to be in Las Vegas. I was like, oh no thanks. We'll just handle this over in Arizona. And the saga goes on from there. So I have a feeling, you know, I got thinking, I'm like, maybe they're trying to lure Mark Moore. I mean, who knows, dude? You know what? If I see Mark Moore here in Indio, I'm not even going to call the police. I can't call the police because, you know, in my situation, half the time, I'm not criticizing or citing or blaming my local police department here. But in history, in a long history, 10-year saga of crap, the police have a tendency to actually enable these criminals coming after me versus, like, you know, actually stopping them. I mean, I don't know. I always have to be cautious of people in the DOJ. But, you know, that's why I said they could be just running this to the military. They could be running this to this human trafficking coalition, the sheriff's office that apparently works closely with the FBI. But you know what? Whatever. I see Mark Moore. I'm calling 1-866-DHS to ICE and calling my local border patrol station. I am not calling the police, and I'm not calling the sheriff's office, and there'll be no 911 calls. None. You know what? Someone physically gets close to me, I just zap them with 7.5 million volts in a stun gun. I do not call 911 for anybody here because, that's what I said, usually it's because they enable these damn fools in the first place. So there'll be no 911 calls. You know, it's just the way it is. Anyway, so I thought that was weird. I thought that was very weird. There's a couple weird things today at the hospital, like one of my patients was on a drug called propofol and it mysteriously just sort of dropped off the MAR, and I had to call and fight with the pharmacist. Thought that was a little weird. You know, one of my patients had transfer orders, and of course he didn't get a bed until like the change of shift, which would, you know, jack me into overtime, you know. And then there were like the night shift nurse that came on. Apparently she had worked for a company that I used to work for, travel nurse across America. There's the, something in common with you, that kind of thing. And then, you know, apparently she had a contract at Riverside in the ICU, the same place where I had a contract offer in the ER from supplemental health care, but it went south when supplemental health care screwed me on my housing thing. All stuff that I've talked about before, but it's like the same pattern. So they always have to find something, somebody that would have something in common with you, because see, I think that they're probably trying to get me to stay here. You know what? Okay, so anyway, moving forward. Okay, now there's this big thing going on in town called Coachella, this big, huge music festival. So there's like tons of people in town for a few weeks. And, you know, apparently they're doing a lot of promotions. The whole city's doing a lot of promotions and whatever. So, but, you know, I come home and my hotel had left me this note that, you know, apparently I can go and get this pizza between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. Left me a coupon there saying, oh, you know, you didn't come down and pick up your ticket. Well, I'd known about this the other day because they've been advertising this. But I'm not going out at 10 o'clock at night to 3 a.m. to go pick up a pizza. Not when I think I got Mark Moore after me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going out to pick up a pizza. My dangerous situation. Hell, I shouldn't even be leaving the damn house. But, you know, I was trying to find a solution today to some of my problems. You know, this problem with these sting operations at the hospital. And I say, you know what? I saw some corrections officers at the hospital. I said I wanted to ask them about working, you know, at a prison, you know. And I was just kind of like, you know, I was like, and they explained to me where the prisons are and stuff. And I'm like, oh gosh, they're kind of far out. And it's like, and I'm like, well, why are they so far out? You know, is it for like security reasons? And they're like, no, people just don't always want them in their backyard. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then what I figured out is that there might be a transportation issue. There's plenty of prisons. And it sounds like they got plenty of nursing opportunities all throughout the state of California Department of Corrections. And apparently they even have like, you know, can connect me into victim services, like, you know, and stuff too. I'm like, wow, that's way cool. You know, all sounded way cool, but, you know, I don't know, transportation, that's going to be a problem. And then on top of that, see, okay, now get this, see, if I was working in a prison, whether it's a jail, a prison, or an ICE detention center, because, you know, I've been trying to get a job in an ICE detention center, but I can't get the commission corps to commission me so I can apply. That's a whole scandal by the FBI. But anyway, see, then I'd be working in a safe environment with a lot of law enforcement. I mean, when you got corrections officers, you know, guarding your patient, even at the hospital, hell, they're both carrying guns. You know, I'm like totally cool with that. You know, especially if somebody came after me, they'd probably, you know, step in and help take out the jackass, you know. And if I was working in a corrections facility, you know, there'd be tons of security. That would be great. And the FBI wouldn't be able to hack all these people in sting operations. As Mark Moore wouldn't be able to get in. The FBI wouldn't be able to get in. I mean, I could go tell the warden I got these assholes, you know, stuff like that. I mean, I tell them, but you know what? There was one thing that came up. Apparently, when we were talking about transportation stuff, you know, they're apparently you have to have a driver's license to work within the Department of Corrections in the state of California. It's probably the same in every other state. But they were explaining, like, if something happens and somebody needed to drive, like, a state van or something like that, apparently it's a requirement that everybody has a driver's license. It doesn't matter what level you're in. It doesn't matter if you're, like, a corrections officer or somebody like me that's a nurse. You need to have a driver's license in case something occurs and you need to drive a van. And I'm like, well, crap, I don't have a driver's license. I didn't tell them this. Oh, I just said, well, you know, I let my driver's license expire. I mean, I kind of told them it was human trafficking, you know, and seeing people that swipe my kids, swipe my car, Mark Moore and his little criminal law enforcement friends and stuff like that. But, you know, it's, But, you know, so I'd have to figure out how to do that. I guess I would have to go and get a California driver's license, which throws me all up on public record no matter where I go. But in order to just apply for a corrections officer job, it's like, oh my God, there's always something. It all sounded like perfect, and I might be able to finagle the transportation issues, even if it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But damn, I gotta have a driver's license. Always something. But anyway, so that's today's episode of Life Outside the Federal Witness Protection Program / Keep the Bad Guys Away. There's something going on. They're plotting something. They're plotting something. But I'm going to tell you, there'll be no 911 calls. Because, see, now get the US Marshal Service, both in Washington, D.C. and in Phoenix, told me that the FBI can arrest their own agents. So they don't need to be sicking Mark Moore or any of these goddamn freaking jackasses after me on purpose just so I can make a police report, just so they can turf everything into the FBI. They could arrest Mark Moore. It's saying that they don't. Here's one reason why they don't want to do that. Why they want to continue to use me as bait is because they don't want to arrest their own agents. And this would be a way that they could scapegoat around arresting their own agents for jacking me in this situation in the first place. So anyway, that's what I said. Tonight's episode, Life Outside the Federal Witness Protection Program. Keep your stun gun handy. There's real criminals and terrorists out there. See you next time.